Welcome back to another live feed. 1891 World Series. Atlanta Braves versus Twins. 1891. The 5th anniversary of that classic matchup back in 91. Continuing on with Game 2 for that World Series. Let's go down to the last pitch. The Nets only won World Series between the Minnesota Twins and the Braves. Gave us the best World Series of all time. So, Chapter 2, Game 2. October 20th, 1991, on a Sunday at Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Metrodome opened for business in April 1982, become the third dome facility in baseball after the Astrodome in Houston and Seattle's Kingdom. Over the years, the Wood hosted the World Series, NCAA Final Four, Super Bowl, such rock headlines as Paul McCartney and Rolling Stones. Next, the Metrodome, which was eventually Christian Hall, Granville Field, stood as the multi-purpose venue that cities were once so eager to embrace. And he's helped to the ball players. Well, Stephen on top multi-purpose stadium that was slated to be replaced after the 2013 football season. They remember this air split walls that Inferno mesmerizing booth. Sellout crowds jammed the dome in autumn of 1991. Off-white lid holding all the commotion inside, making it as loud as a jet plane taking off. One of the loudest noise that was ever recorded at a sports stadium occurred here during the 1987 World Series. St. Louis Cardinals pitching Joe McRae wore earplugs. Infields for both teams had to use hand signals to communicate with each other. The ball rotating, coaches putting their foot on top. The phone receiver, or if it was too loud inside the metronome, to hear the next call for a reliever. So coaches learned to go with the vibration instead. They also completely place. St. Louis Ranger White holds all the Saturday ball was 4 in a row during the postseason. Opposing pitcher Dan Greenberg echoed this annihilation, adding, I don't think there are any good use for nuclear weapons, but then this may be one. Besides the hikers were more than stadium of white days and Lucid Group also drove Bell through this distraction. As ESPN Jim Cable once wrote, space stage lid was so thin that you could tell when the sun was behind a cloud on the game. You could also hear the rain melting on the roof during a thunderstorm. Sound kinds though, but poetic, almost tranquil. Doesn't it? But good luck getting a lead on the big ball hit from there, the whole picture back. Just waiting for Nashville, Eric Wood, yelling their heads off. Everybody that plays here has a problem with the roof. Said Chuck not about the time line drives seem to get lost in the lights, even a simple pop-up gets lost for a split second. Ryan Harper, the catcher, had it in outdoor ballparks, you can take your eye off the ball and pick it up again. You're an outfielder or base runner, you cannot do that. Because the ball and the roof are so close to being the same color. You do that on the Twins, you do that, you never took your eye off the ball. Or took your eye off the ball to their Braves would be Lineouts adage about the series. Once that the most important and opportune time. Game 2 of the 1991 World Series, but Game 2 players did make headlines again. The Braves went down, holding the top of the first. Twins got fit at Dane Black off the time. Allowed his first pitch to short right field. Went quickly, taking Jeff Treadway's spot at second base. Ran out a little on and pursuit. Limke has better range. And manager broadcast to the meeting. Explaining the final switch between all the crowd and the temple of the roof. But Limke looked like a man chasing his hat to win. At the same time, Limke was running out. Braves right fielder David Justice was running in. It was just a big play. The ball two and bumped together. The ball fell to the turf, putting on second base was flat. Big rather than walk when I blocked. Twins were bits, not even Curry Bucket. Came to a double play for skin inside. Joey Davis fouled by going to left center field. Old State. Minnesota took 2-0 lead. Home run was the first World Series hit of Davis' career. new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and subscribe. The Twins slugger initially thought he had hit a Glavine fastball, but later, after studying the replay, he decided it must have been a changeup. Sometimes a guy guesses right, you know. Davis said. Switch hitter Davis was in his 11th big league season in 1991. Had come to Minnesota after breaking in with the San Francisco Giants and then spending 3 seasons with the California Angels. Bothered by a lower back strain, he was held to 113 games in 1990. He had only 12 home runs after the Angels let him go in free agency. The Twins became his only real suitor. Through it all, general manager Andy McPhail knew Davis would be a good fit in the Minnesota order. Switch hitter David could balance the Minnesota's lineup, hoping to protect Kent Herbert as against right-handed pitcher. Such negotiations underscored the growing divide between the rich and the poor teams in baseball, even back in 1991. The top team payrolls that season belonged to the Los Angeles Dodgers, Boston Red Sox, New York Mets, and Cleveland Oakland A's. They were all at $33 million, give or take a few million. The Twins' payroll stood at more than $22 million, roughly the middle of the pack, financially as a result. McPhail couldn't have bid that high for such a top free agent at Terry Pendleton, Bob Dare, or Darryl Strawberry, especially after signing Steve Rosengren, Carl Williams, and Jack Warner's. Thanks for hitting the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Thanks for the 17 people tuning in. Healthy for the next 91 season. Davis led the team in home runs, 29. Runs batted in the 93. Says that he wasn't on a mission to or try to prove anybody wrong. At the most, he's noting during free agency. Still, Davis told his agent Tim Wright that they'll be sorry that they let me get away. I'm not hurt, I'm not lazy, I'm just not stupid. Kelly agreed that Davis' arrival initially took pressure off Hrbek and Puckett. And as he continued his comeback season, Davis's performance forced everyone to eventually step up their game too. They didn't want to be embarrassed by the new guy. He helped everybody. But what helped would Davis be when the series shifted to Atlanta for games 3, 4, and 5? The team's designated hitter Davis wouldn't have a real spot in the batting order and would probably be relegated to a pitch hitting role. Hrbek and others feared that could severely slow the Twins' attack. Through it all, Davis tried to stay upbeat. I think the guys won at 75% of the games I didn't start, he said. As long as there are umpires, there will be a degree of human error in the game. National pastime, unlike the National Football League, wouldn't fully embrace instant replay until 2014. Well-trained human beings, not machines, always consider the best options, but it can lead to intriguing turns and twists, even if the game's top officials between the lines. Of course, baseball has had plenty of empowering countries over the years. For example, Jim Joyce's long call in 2010 cost the Tigers Armando Galarraga a perfect game. Yet, when it comes to postseason miscues, Don Digger still tops the list. He became a household name to angry St. Louis fans after he called Jorge Porter safe at first base in the ninth inning of Game 6 in the '85 World Series. Replay showed that Order was clearly out. The Cardinals could have closed the game out and been crowned World Series champions. Bad call is announced with my name. Anytime there's a call, they call me. 6 years later, at the 1985 controversy, the Rays came to the World Series ready to take advantage of the base cash. So the Twins pitchers had high leg kicks, which led to good jumps. The Twins catcher Brian Harper had an average arm at best. My back and my arm were killing me by the end of that season. Harper later admitted they liked to run. It wasn't not the most comfortable of situations for me. With 2 out in the top of the third inning, Lonnie Smith on first base. Gant slapped Kevin Tappety's 1-1 fastball into left field. Then again, those at the base was offline, while driven past the bag toward home plate. Tapety backed up the play once he saw Gant take a turn. First base tried the ball across the diamond to Herbeck. In the third, the Twins dugout manager Tom Kelly wasn't thrilled with the Tappety's decision. I was angry because I don't like seeing the ball thrown all over the field. He later wrote, if Tap makes a bad throw, we have a circus with people running all over the place. We try to stay away from circuses. Yet what ensued proved to be much more than an errant throw and could have played in the main being at Bose's big top. Gant beat Tappety's throw and returned to first base safely standing up. Select the tag on Gant anyway, and the two of them became tangled like parent or awkward dance at the far edge of the dance floor. So together they stumbled into foul territory with Herbeck still holding the glove with the ball on Gant's leg. When Gant came off the bag, first baseman umpire David Drew Cobble called the Braves base runner out. The Atlanta dugout erupted in protest with manager Bobby Cox running onto the field to ignore Gant. And first base coach Pat Corolla was powerless and confronting Cobble. I was clearly on the base. They said, pointed out that Herbert was double my size. In the official tape, Gant stood 6 feet, 170 pounds, but Herbert 4 inches taller, and easily weighed more than 200 pounds. The officiating has got to be better than that. Gant added, if he hadn't pulled me off, I wouldn't have stayed on the base. Well, this is the second person that hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Herbert had a different interpretation of the pivotal play. He came to the base and pushed into me. I kind of fell back and he fell over me with his foot coming off the base. I pushed him back on the base. The Twins' first baseman added that he played the moment like a charge in basketball. Cowell had umpired in the American League since 1979. This was his first World Series appearance. His take on the play, Gant, to the bag, his momentum was carrying him toward the first base dugout. When he did that, he began to switch feet. He tried to pick up one foot and bring the other down. In my judgment, his momentum carried him over the top of Herbeck. Don Dickinson himself was on the crew that night and pointing down the right field line. A bit of cruel irony that Braves third baseman Terry Pendleton, who was on the Cardinals in the 1985 World Series, couldn't help but notice. At one point, after Game 2, Dickinson took it upon himself to answer questions from the pool reporter, directed at Cobble. There was a judgment call by this umpire. Ginger declared there is no appeal to the plate umpire in this case. The explanations on the field and after the game didn't sit very well with the Braves, and so their manager. I don't like to cry about umpire's call, Cox said. You can't move a guy off an occupied base. I don't care if it's just little numbers, you can't do it. I don't think Cobble meant to call the play right. When in my mind, our minds, it was wrong. It was as simple as that. Dan Glenn disagreed. The only thing controversial about that play is, so years later, was that Ron Gant got the slot. Seen a chance to tie the game by the boards with knowing many starting pitchers yet. Braves starter Tom Glavine was unlike most pitchers. Almost from the time he made the big league team for good, '78, Glavine reminded pitcher coach Leo Mazzone of Whitey Ford, staff ace of the New York Yankees dynasty teams in the 1950s and 60s. Both left-handed control specialists, use of speed changing speeds, hitting spots, who kept the composure when the game was on the line. Tommy is a story figure on the mound like Whitey. Tommy represents our Braves pitchers the same way Whitey represented those great Yankees teams. In the second inning, the
The Metrodome faithful cheering for an early knockout. Glavin walked Kenny Herbert, but then got Scott Lewis. Skip on a little bit. They had battle back to the tie the game at 2-2 in the fifth inning. I'll start about Tom Glavin. The Braves, Deion Sanders was such a well-rounded athlete. As a kid, that he became the first athlete to play in both a World Series and a Super Bowl. Parents need to make the major decisions that affect their kids' lives. But when it comes to play, they shouldn't discourage a broad approach. When a child wants to color, you tell them to use just one black crayon. So keep going. Talk about Kevin Sapany in this chapter. So in the top of the inning, Harper remembered Belliard surprised the Twins by laying down a bunt up the third baseline on a 1-2 count. Mike Smith then sacrificed Belliard to second base, and the Braves now had the go-ahead run in the scoring position to defend the foul with a floated to the right side. Ken Herbert fielded and threw on to first base, tapping covering. Bang Bang played first base umpire Drew Cobble, who was sliding Pendleton safe. That put men on first base, third with one out. Next up was Gant, who was 4 for 7 to this point in the series. With the count 2-1, Tempe spotted a fastball in the outside corner, who was trying to pull the ball, popped up the outfield behind home plate. Harper barely tracked it down against the padded blue ball. Now they were 2 down. Who's up next? Harper recalled years later. Dave Trusky, the absolute last guy we wanted to face in that kind of situation. Tapping Harper huddled on the mound with the pitcher asking the right-hander what pitch he had the most confidence. Tapping told him that he wanted to use the fastball to set up the changeup. After Justice worked the count to 3-2, Tapney decided to roll the dice. To this point in at bat, Tapney had been changing speeds. The slugger consistently low and away. Tapney went away one last time, yet this time, pitch was up almost at Stroder's level. So Justice slightly pulled off the ball, barely hitting it off the end of the bat, became a fly ball to Dan Glad in left field. And then Son Tappy had Rickett free again, leaving another Gusek on the scoreboard. In 1991, the sport was on the verge of several sweeping changes, notably in ballpark structure will be for the better. Yet on many other fronts, labor unrest, precipitous rise in performance censorship caused a lack of patience and what became a fixed now culture. Baseball was heading for the cliff. That's why this season, particularly this series, will be always remain finally among baseball pundits and aficionados. In a lot of ways, it will always be this sweet spot in time. I want to start Steve Hurt, the live sports bureau, who worked with the CBS Sports for the 1991 series. Not only did this one series have everything you ever wanted in terms of pressure games, great performance you also look back on is finally because of what was to come. Challenges the game will soon face. Pre-spring, the baseball owners had locked the players out of training camp for 32 days. Salary arbitration became the focal point of the dispute with more problematic issues. Pay for a former state system to salary cap also discussed. Ownership now say cap as a way, perhaps the only way, or cut such small markets like Milwaukee, Kansas City, and Missouri could compete, led by Downfield Players Union. View such measures as a way for ownership to balance their books on the backs of the players. 25 years earlier, Marvin Miller had taken charge of the Major League Baseball Players Association and transforming the organization to arguably the strongest union in the land. The bottom of the eighth, with the score tied at 2 apiece, third baseman Scott Lears led off for the Minnesota Twins. Raised in Yonkers, New York, Scott Lears had grown up a diehard Yankee fan. His favorite player was Mike Pagliarulo. I was a big fan of Mike. I watched how he played defense. He's one of the best, in my opinion. One of the ironic twists that baseball often offers. Louis Fortuny ended up Fortuny at third base was boyhood hero in 1991. Kelly decided to do a platoon system with Lewis and Pagliarulo at the hot corner. Top of the half of the eighth, some hard stuff getting him to change the change. But was told so to be ready. The main goal was to get it on a walk. Get on a walk or hit anything. I had all his pitches going. So I had to find a pitch I could do something with. Not necessarily hit a home run, but so I could hit the ball hard. When you're facing a guy like that who's been so dominant in the ball game, you don't want to fall too far behind. That happens to chainsaw. He's going to get you. So Ricky drove, got his first pitch just over the plexiglass, top the left field fence at Metrodome with the drive cycle and few roses and stands. The game had turned again. Most after taking the lead against Tapney, the Braves now trailed 3-2. Staff aide Jack Morris said Lois Hall was in others that were matters going the Twins' way next night. This is the kind of team that we were. It was the kind of thing that wins championships. But one thing at the bat, and probable source at that, the Twins were now insisted to go 2 games up in the series. Closer Rick Aguilera, him from the board to start the top of the ninth. For the game, Minnesota manager Tom Kelly had reassured the media that Aguilera would be ready if needed, even though he had to close out game 1 the night before. Although relief pitchers had been deployed in baseball for some time, their role became more specialized in the season leading up to the next 91 series. New York Giants manager John McGraw occasionally went with right-hander Claude Elliott to shut down just as far as back in 1905. The 1950s knuckleballer Hoyt Wilhelm began putting up impressive numbers in relief, peaking with 27 saves for the Chicago White Sox. In 1964, thanks in large part to manager Earl Weaver, Steve Dukowski appeared destined to be the game's first bona fide closer, at least as we envision him today. A hard-throwing guy could strike out the side with his game on the line. Leaders such as Raleigh Fingers, Bruce Sutter, Lee Smith, and Bruce Gossage began to dominate in the late innings. Called 5-minute stops, they often pitched 2 innings or more, fielding as the ball clock required. a season after season, saving the league high 12-6 games for the White Sox 1984. For example, School Scott started 29 games and threw 224 innings. Saves didn't become an official statistic until 1969. Those who claimed this duty became as closers because they finished closed out the game from whatever point they were in. Specialized late inning relief work and how closers could be deployed was relatively new to the game in 1991. This phase was redefined beginning in 1997 by Tony La Russa, the manager of the Oakland Athletics at the time, pitching coach Dave Duncan. His beneficiary was a very reluctant Dennis Eckersley. In the late 80s, the Athletics were a pennant contender. That attack was key by Ricky Henderson, Jose Canseco, Dave Henderson, and Mark McGwire. The top of the resolution had Dave Stewart, Kurt Young, and that was where Eckersley figured he would be. He had won at least 12 games in 7 of his first 8 seasons in the majors. He had pitched no hitter for Cleveland in 1977. Reached the victory plateau. First and foremost, Eckersley saw himself as a starting pitcher. He's talking about the closer. At the time 1991 rolled around, every team was looking to trade for and develop their own Dennis Eckersley. Because 1987 proved to be just the beginning for Eckersley and his new role as a closer. The following season, he saved 45 games, on fewer than David Gray's Major League record at the time. He saved all 4 games of the American League Championship Series. Against Baltimore before the Dodgers, Kirk Gutson hit a home run over Eckersley in the opener of the next 88 World Series. Talk about a bridge job. The reluctant closer will go on to save 390 games in the next 90. Put together a season for the A's when he struck out 73, walked only 4 batters, and 73 and third innings while compiling a 0.61 ERA. By the time next thing on rolled around, every team was looking to trade or to develop their own version of Dennis Eckersley. In 1987, the same season, Eckersley, Bob Oakley, Minnesota landed Jeff Ridden in the trade with Montreal, fine closing his own right. Ridden saved 162 games between 1979 and 1986 as a development, helping the Twins win the 1987 championship. Ridden eventually signed with Boston, so the Twins were again looking for a new closer. Rick Aguilera at home for the 1990 season, manager Tom Kelly called him. Rick Aguilera told him he will be replacing Ridden as the team's closer. So Aguilera became the first real nail biter in the 1991 World Series. Aguilera knew he had to be at his best to begin striking out Atlanta Steve Green. Then Brian answered single service to center fielder. The Twins close briefly appeared more tired than the manager had let on in his pregame press conference. That's when Aguilera found something extra, striking out Braves catcher Greg Olson, then doing the same to Tommy Gregg, who was pitching for Mark Lincoln. Off the field, Aggies shot almost on some guy, but put him on the mound, getting on the line. He becomes so locked in all series and show of himself. There was no better closing the game at that time. And closing things out, Aguilera became the first reliever to save games 1 and 2 for a class since Wisconsin accomplished defeat in 1981. The 3-2 victory, the Twins appeared to have a firm hold on the World Series as the Fall Classic prepared to shift to Atlanta in the Deep South for the first time in baseball history. Despite the heartbreaking loss, Braves manager Bobby Cox believed his team simply needed some home cooking. They were going to win. They have to come back here to do it, he said after the Twins Game 2 victory. So I'll be Game 3 tomorrow, Tuesday, October 22nd, 1991, at the Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. I'll be back soon by 1 o'clock to do another live feed. Till then, subscribe to the channel. Talk to you soon.